Hello everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video. I'm going to be using products from Simon Says Stamp's brand new Valentine kit. This is a limited edition kit, so it's not part of their monthly subscription. So if you like this kit, it's definitely one you're going to want to pick up while you can because it is a limited edition, so only available while supplies last. I want to jump on into the projects that I'm creating today. And we're going to start first with this one where I created my very own DIY glittered ticket. There's this really cute ticket die included in the kit, and we're going to use that with the adhesive sheets and the glitter that's included in this kit. So I have a piece of that adhesive sheet here, and I'm going to stick some dull pink cardstock onto it. This is cut down to be just slightly larger than the ticket die, and we're going to sandwich this inside of the adhesive. So one side of that paper is covered with adhesive, and on the release paper side, the other side of the adhesive that has not yet been exposed, we're going to layer ticket die on top of that and then run this through our die cut machine. So now we have this ticket that is covered with adhesive on the other side. So this is going to give me a place that I can sprinkle some glitter and adhere it onto the ticket, and that's going to create a glittery pink finish. It's going to look so pretty. So I removed all the little inner pieces and then finally removed the release paper to expose that adhesive so we can start covering it with glitter. Tweezers are helpful for this sometimes because you don't want to be touching the ticket on the adhesive side too much, so that way you make sure that the glitter will stick fully. I'm going to dump all that glitter right on top of my ticket and then gently rub the glitter into that adhesive to make sure it's completely adhered. I'll brush off this ticket with my fingers and then also a paintbrush just so I can get off any loose glitter. This is going to get layered on top of some pattern paper that's from the kit, and I loved this striped pattern. So we're going to die cut this with the A2 MARQUEE dies from Simon Says Stamp. They're not part of the kit, but they're a great all-purpose die for using with any card design. I'm going to adhere my ticket down onto my pattern paper that has now been cut with the die, and I'll make sure to use that little inner piece for the O to complete the greeting. I used some foam tape on the corner to attach an XO ephemera piece from the ephemera pack that's included in the kit. The negative heart that was popped out of our ticket I actually covered with glitter also, and then I used that as an embellishment of hearts to trail down from the top of my card. These are really fun. I used a mix of ephemera and also then of course that cardstock heart that's covered in glitter. It ties everything together really, really well. This is going to get put onto an A2 card. I used foam tape on the back side of this pattern paper so it does have some dimension off of the card base. And that's it. Card number 1 is done, and we're ready to move on to number 2. So this next card is going to feature a bit of Copic coloring, and I'll use one of the ephemera pieces with pattern paper to create the effect as if this lock and key were a planter for this cute little flower. I started first by stamping the lock and key from the With Love stamp set that's part of the kit. I used Intense Black ink from Simon Says Stamp, and I did stamp this onto some Hammer Mill white cardstock. I used 3 shades of Copic markers to color in both the lock and the key. So they're both colored in with the same RV markers, and I have them linked below in the video description and on my blog if you're interested in knowing the exact colors. As you can see, I didn't do anything too fancy for the shading. I just tried to make sure I had a good light center area for that lock to make it look dimensional. There are coordinating dies for this set, but I don't have them, so I'm going to use my Simon Says Stamp fine tip scissors to fussy cut this out, and then I also cut the inner portion of the lock with a craft knife. Using the A2 MARQUEE dies from Simon Says Stamp, I die cut the pattern paper, and then I pulled out this A2 thin frames die set, also from Simon, and I'm going to die cut one of those frames from some matte gold cardstock. This is going to look really pretty. It's going to frame up my entire piece, and it's also going to go really well with the gold sentiment that I'm going to add later. My trick with this is that I do like using some liquid glue. In this case, I use Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue to adhere this down because this is so thin and delicate. I want to make sure I have wiggle room to maneuver it. So that's really helpful when you use a liquid glue for something like this, and then you can just wipe off any excess that might have squished out the edges. I used foam tape to attach the MARQUEE panel, which gives it some nice dimension and looks so good with that gold frame. The floral ephemera piece and also my lock and key were also adhered with some foam tape along the bottom portion of my card. I'm trying to maintain some room on the left for the sentiment that I'm going to be adding. That's also from the With Love stamp set, and I just used some embossing ink and stamped this onto some black cardstock for some nice contrast, and then I used gold embossing powder to sprinkle on top of that, and I heat set it. I always like to heat from the back side first because it does help with warping, and it also helps you prevent your embossing powder from getting burned on the front side. Sometimes if you use a little too much heat on the front, it can burn the embossing powder. It doesn't give as smooth of a finish. I used some foam squares from Simon Says Stamp to attach this down. And then finally, to ground my lock and key, I did make my very own little oval cardstock piece. This is just to create a shadow effect underneath. I wanted it to look like it was grounded and not just floating in midair, so I really liked how that just finished it off. Alrighty, home stretch. We're going to do some stenciling now. Like I said, this video is filled with a lot of different techniques, so hopefully you're getting some ideas from the projects that I'm sharing today. Okay, so we're going to now start by taking a rectangle die. This is slightly smaller than 4 1/4 square, and I thought it matched perfectly with the square design of the layering hearts stencils that are included in the kit. So what you're seeing me do right now is make a guide for where these stencils are going to go. And it's also going to do something else. It's going to also mask off the edges of my paper so that I don't get any ink where I don't want it. So this is a twofold process here. We're masking and we're also creating a space that each one of these stencils can nestle into. And so the design, which is made up of the layering stencils, all the stencils will be in the exact same place the entire time I'm working with this, and I don't have to worry about anything shifting. So layer 1 is done. I did that in pink. I'm going to do layer 2 in purple, but you can see here, I just nestle that little stencil right into that well that we've created with the tape, and I know now that everything is lined up perfectly. So now we're going to go ahead and ink blend with another color, and this is some purple. It looks really pretty. And I also loved the fact that these stencils create such a cool overlapped design. Finally, I used a darker pink color. This looks really nice and contrasting with the purple and lighter pink that we used. The fourth and final layer, I decided to do some paste. I love using paste, and this glitter paste from Brutus Monroe was the perfect finishing touch. It adds just a little sparkle, and it's also going to be a great setting for where we're going to add some orange hearts with some die cuts. As you can see, our masking worked out perfectly. We have clean edges, and of course, it kept all of our stencils in the exact same place. Using the glue stick and a strip of pattern paper that was left over from the first card, I'm creating a strip of color behind my heart panel. This is going to tie in nicely with the colors that are not only in my panel here, but also in the sentiment that I've picked out from the ephemera pack. The nice thing about a glue stick like this is that it doesn't adhere instantaneously, so you have time to wiggle it like you would any liquid glue. Foam tape is what I use to attach my card panel and the sentiment onto my card. Like I said, I wanted to include some orange. The sentiment that I picked out did have an orange color in it, and I wanted to make sure that that was represented in the background as well as on that paper strip that we have behind the panel. So I used Simon's Mini Heart Party die set. Not part of the kit, but one of my absolute favorites and a staple I use all the time. I die cut that die from some orange cardstock so that I could adhere these cute little hearts on top of the glittered ones. And that's it. That's how I finished up the third card. And so I have 3 fun cards using contents from Simon Says Stamp's Valentine kit, which of course is limited edition and only available while supplies last. If you're interested in the kit or any of the supplies that I used today, check out the links below in the video description, as well as on my blog too. And don't forget to stay tuned for even more crafty inspiration, because I've got a lot more coming up over the next couple weeks that I can't wait to share with you. So stay tuned, and I'll look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much, friends, and have a fabulous day.